Well, if it isn't the consequences of my actions. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. And Helldivers 2, or Arrowhead Studios, has a community manager nightmare on their hands right now. And it's all their fault. This is because these game companies are not putting the effort in up front for hiring the right person to be a community manager. The more I dive into this DEI stuff, the Sweet Baby Inc., and all this ridiculous hiring practices for all these game companies, and no, I'm not saying it's all related to Sweet Baby Inc., I'm just saying this diversity hiring in general seems to produce the incorrect people for the wrong positions, and they don't seem to work out there. This video is going to be kind of twofold. One, we're going to talk about why Helldivers 2 and Sony proper are instituting the requirement for a PlayStation Network account sign-in, and how that might actually not be happening after all. And two, to talk about how horrific this community manager really was. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article talking about Helldivers 2, the PSN network account requirement, and their community manager nightmare. First off, let's talk about what their community manager, Misty, said as to why a PlayStation Network account is required. Hey, this isn't true. Due to the overwhelming amount of people trying to link their accounts, the whole login process broke, and people couldn't get into the game. Mandatory account linking was disabled for 20 to 30 minutes after launch to let people play the game. And Cliffo replied, and yet people still couldn't get in. It's a process to force people into an ecosystem when they don't want to because Sony thinks it will make people pay for their products. And Misty said, and this is wild how she just comes right out with it, no, it's to allow us to ban people. That is the sole reason. Which, ironically, is something I brought up in my initial video talking about this Helldivers 2 PSN network. Cliffo said, so you couldn't ban people before? That's a lie. It's true, you could ban people before. Why is a PSN network account required to ban people, Misty? We could, but this increases the effectiveness of what we can do. Smile. And Artie said, sorry for spamming you. I really appreciate the work you're doing here, Misty. But what do you mean with more effectiveness? I'm trying to be open-minded here, so no judgment in my question, just curiosity. And Misty said, there are certain legal requirements we have to follow to ban people. This will help us out with that. Also, dealing with support tickets all day, unfortunately, a lot of people encounter cheaters and harassment. This will hopefully help us tackle the problem. So, okay, if we are to take Misty at her word that this is for the greater good, that they want to give more power to Arrowhead Studios to ban people, and that's the real reason for the PSN account. Which I would argue it's not, but they're not going to tell her the real reason. She's too low on the totem pole. The real reason is they want to harvest your data. They want to find out how many hours you're playing, what type of game you're playing in the game, how you're playing it, what time of day you play it, to literally use that information to tell their shareholders, make more money, and sell DLC directly based off of it, and produce games in the future to hone in on exactly what sells to people. And some could look at that as, yeah, that's business. Other people could look at it as, that's not really the way I want to be playing my games, to be watched by a corporal all day and see how they can sell more things to me. And the game is completely in crisis management mode right now. For this community manager, she was handling it as best she could. And then she went into protected mode. And then she deleted her Twitter account. I mean, here's the thing. Maybe she was facing an abhorrent amount of harassment from the community. Maybe people were just getting really upset at her and her takes and how she was handling the backlash from this PSN network account requirement on Helldivers 2 on PC. Maybe that's what it was. But then you dive into some more history of her before she deleted her account, and it's kind of sketch. You can believe what you want, but do not enforce those beliefs on anyone else, as you have done by retaliating against the pride icons. The xenophobic insults in your league are not okay either. At the end of the day, I want us all to respect each other and play Overwatch together. Okay, I mean, that's kind of, okay, a little aggressive, but alright. She's just letting her feelings be known that she doesn't like people being xenophobic. Why are the community managers always like this? All the Saudi fans are effing disgusting. Just pure homophobia, transphobia, and xenophobia coming from their tiny pea brains. Ugh. I mean, It kind of screams internally that you got a lot of demons you're fighting. And it seems like every community manager, at least so far that I've stumbled across, save for a couple, seem to have the same trend. I effing hate Brexit, the UK, and the government. All they do is make me suffer. I would leave in an instant if it weren't for them making it so I can't. F this country. One day I will leave and never come back, and it'll be the best decision ever. F the Tories with 3 middle fingers. Okay, again, totally well within your rights to say these things. I'm not saying it's not. But somebody in an HR position would look at this and be like, does that sound like someone who's mentally stable enough to handle an onslaught of criticism and potential harassment from the community? No, it doesn't. In fact, this seems like someone who would take offense to anything happening at any point and crack under the slightest bit of any kind of controversy, which is exactly what happened here. So I don't blame Misty for deleting her account, protecting her tweets first and then deleting it. I don't blame her for that. I do blame the community for harassing her a bit, but the blame is shared with Helldivers 2 Studio Arrowhead for hiring this kind of community manager and putting them in this position. She is clearly not someone capable of doing it. And I feel like that seems to be a reoccurring theme in everything that keeps happening here, is the people that are hired are not equipped mentally, first and foremost, mentally not equipped to handle the capacity of being a community manager. Or in the case of Helldivers community manager Spitz on Discord, that seems to go after the player base because people are showing their discontent with the PSN network requirement, where he initially said, it's not like this is the first or even the 14th mainstream game to require a third-party account that takes a couple of minutes to create. But if it's a deal breaker to have to take 120 seconds of your day to enter an email and password and then forget about it, change your Steam review and make your displeasure known on a platform where it matters. And Cliff the Redeemer replied, brah really wants the game to go down the drain just like that. And Spitz replied, I want people to make their displeasure known in a place where it might actually make a difference. Steam reviews and refund requests will do that. Angry posting in the Discord won't. I'm not happy about this decision either. Spitz goes on to talk about how it's making such an impact that they're actually having internal discussions about if this requirement will actually stay in place or not. Internal discussions are ongoing about the mandatory linking change, and while I can't reveal details, the response from our dev teams has been pretty universally negative, and we're looking for better options. Which is good to hear that they are also on the same page as the gamers are with this. It's like weird how people are taking it so personal when everyone seems to be on the same page against Sony with this. And Spitz went on to apologize for how he initially reacted to it. Nobody should feel bad for me, to be honest. I let the negativity get under my skin and gave a few people an attitude. That's on me. I completely understand why people are upset at the required account linking. I'm not thrilled about it either. And my suggestion to people to change their reviews to negative was completely genuine. And they are doing that. Like, by droves, in the thousands per thousands of people. Like, it is an insane amount of negative reviews happening right now on Steam. There are good and bad ways to express discontent, and coming after the devs and moderators in here isn't the solution and won't get this decision changed. People are emotional, and rightfully so. Many of them won't be able to play the game anymore. It sucks. I'm not trying to attack anyone for being displeased with the change. I'm just trying to protect my team from the backlash, so I jumped on the grenade. So, showing a little self-deprecation and playing the victim a little bit here, and I get it. It's a good response. Don't know if it necessarily makes up for, I don't know, attacking your own player base, but whatever. This is the whole thing with community managers that are being hired. It's a very interesting position that they get into, and I'm not sure what they're getting paid, but clearly it's not enough. I used to work in the game industry. Hell, I used to be a recruiter in the game industry, and honestly, the stuff that I dealt with was more lower level stuff. Not community managers, a little bit lower than that. It was more QA type stuff. And I would deal with the interactions face to face with people, hiring them for the positions, just to get a vibe of their mentality and if they'd be okay with finding bugs in games and very run-of-the-mill stuff. But I feel like if you're putting someone as the face, as the forefront of your game to directly interact with the community, it's going to be a lot more involved. A lot more effort needs to be put into hiring someone to be able to handle that. And I feel like a lot of these community managers just continue to go off the deep end as quick as possible. And then you dive into the background of their tweets and you're like, yeah, it makes sense. They all seem to fall in line with this very woke, agenda-driven narrative for being an activist and not necessarily a gamer. Like, sure, they play games, but they don't really understand the psychological aspect of the gaming community at large. It's too big for them to handle. So I don't blame Misty here, and I don't necessarily blame all on the gamers either. This is something that Helldivers 2 Arrowhead needed to take a much deeper look at to make sure they're hiring the right person for the position. This is an undue amount of stress on someone that definitely can't handle it. And the people they hire for these positions need to be there in the time of a crisis. They can't run and hide, put their account unprotected, or in this case, end up deleting their account because they can't handle the stress and pressure that comes along with it. The whole point of them being put in the position is to be crisis management when there's an issue with the game. And if you run and hide right when the shit hits the fan, it kind of goes to show that you weren't the right person for the job. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there, but hopefully this sparks more discussion around hiring the right people for the positions in the game industry, because I feel like for the longest time it was just bloat and a lot of people just being hired because they were friends of people or because they sounded like they wanted to do the job instead of, I don't know, hiring someone that's well enough equipped to handle the position that they're put in. Anyways, I'm going to leave the video right there. If you want more information, like I said, check out smashjt.com for the full article. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. Smash